few months ago, I had an opportunity to evaluate and test fly the Ruko F11 Gem 2 drone. And my only observation that was concerning is, at the time, the FAA regulation for remote ID for drones was going to go into effect back in September. The process to make this a certified remote ID drone was in the works. Hadn't been completed yet. Fortunately, the FAA, in their wisdom, decided to extend the time frame into March 16th, which is just a few days away from the date of this recording. And a few weeks ago, I touched base with Ruko, and they said, "Oh yeah, you should have got an email, and here is the final response. Here is the new serial number, which is the FAA certified serial number for remote ID." And I was able to go into the system, into the FAA's registration database for my drone, and update with the new serial number, and they recognize that as a remote ID Ruko drone. So, we're compliant. So I'm looking forward to getting into using the drone. You know, the only downside is it has sat in my desk drawer for months, and what's really nice is when I went to check it today, all the batteries were charged. The drone battery and the control console, the batteries are still fully charged. So even if they're setting for about 4 months, that's nice. Nice to know that you don't have that parasitic drain. Oh, that's our bird in the background, which happens a lot with lithium batteries. So anyway, back again to recommend the Ruko F11 Gem 2 drone is FAA compliant with remote ID. Hey guys, today I want to talk about a rather controversial topic, and that is the tires for the Canon Am Spyder. First of all, let me preface this by saying I am not a Spyder technician. I am not an engineer. I'm just a guy who loves a Spyder, and when we travel, we meet people, and of course the topic tends to come up. What do I think? Stock Kendra tires or card tires? And the complaint seems to be that the Kendra tires tend to wear out sooner than car tires, and you get more life out of a car tire. And why don't everybody use the car tires? Well, I'm going to try to answer that. Now, this is not an expert opinion. This is my opinion. I am of the understanding that when the Canon Am Spyder was in development, the engineers determined that to match the software of the stability control and the traction control, they needed a tire, specifically the rear tire, but obviously all three tires, that will grip the pavement under all conditions with a specific amount of friction. And for mathematical purposes, it's called the friction coefficient. That's what we had to use when I was doing accident investigation many years ago. But anyway, I digress. So they needed a tire that was sticky, in other words. So they went out to all the manufacturers of tires, and they said, we want you to make up tires that meet these very specific standards. And all the tire companies said, no, you're a brand new product, and we're not inclined to work on the chemistry, tool up an assembly line to make a batch of tires that may only go one production run, one cycle, because it's real expensive to do that. So they opted out. Kendra stepped up to the plate, and they put the tires on, or they make the tires for the Spyder. And because of the stickiness or the drag coefficient of the tires, they tend to wear out a little sooner, especially that back tire. Now, according to my records, I've been averaging about 11,000 miles per rear tire. I'm still on my second set of front tires, and I've got 45,000 miles on our Spyder, and they're not even halfway down yet. So the front tires tend to have a pretty good shelf life. This is the back tire that tends to wear out. That's the drive tire, and your braking tire, well, all three of them brake, but that's your primary drive tire, and that gets a little bit of extra wear. Now, how much does it cost to have to change out that tire on a cycle of about, what we've experienced, 11,000 miles per cycle. Well, my last tire change, we stopped in Reno, Nevada on our big trip in 22 and had a new tire put on. I expected to have a tire installed on that trip. I was thinking more closer to St. Louis, but looking at the wear and tear, we decided to go to Reno and have it done before we trekked back across the desert through Utah and Nevada and on a questionable rear tire. So the price tag, including labor and installation, was $330. That's $2022. I'm probably sure it's probably gone up a little bit since then. And that translates to about 3 cents per mile. Now, if one was to buy a rear tire for their Spyder and it's an automotive tire, probably get maybe 28,000 miles on that tire, maybe a little bit more. Maybe the actual sticker price for the tire will be a little bit less. So how much you're actually saving? Well, I sort of crunched those numbers and it came out to be about a penny per mile. So 3 cents per mile with stock tires, a penny per mile with car tire for your rear tire. That's a grand total savings of 2 cents per mile. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'd rather have the safety of the stock tire recommended by Can-Am than I would with the car tire. Now here's something else nobody's talked about in all the circles that I've traveled in, and we've talked this subject. When you change out a component that affects the operation of the vehicle, specifically the safety features of the tire, the stopping ability, the cornering ability, you incur liability, more risk. That liability often comes with dollar signs. So if you're ever in an accident where somebody's hurt, another vehicle, people in the car, your own passenger, and you find yourself behind the 8 ball and a lawyer asks you, why did you not have the stock tire that Can-Am On-Road recommends? And your response can only be, I wanted to save 2 cents a mile. So that's another avenue. But then again, that's sort of like being struck by lightning. It's extremely rare, highly unlikely, but the results can be devastating. So that's the reason I choose to use the stock tire. And like I said, I'm not an expert in this. I listen to the experts because they're the guys who went to school and have the fancy diplomas hanging on the wall, and I need to trust their opinion. So hope that puts that question to rest. Now, you're free to use any tire you want to. I'm not saying you can't. But that's the logic that I use when we choose the stock tire. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more of our travel-related content, just check out the rest of our channels. And don't forget to subscribe.